Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, Indian lottery passes. Also, the V-Team takes a look at medical marijuana. And what do Republican lawmakers in Alabama have in common with Trump haters?
But we must reject the politics of revenge, resistance, and retribution, and embrace the boundless potential of cooperation, compromise, and the common good.
They're both supported by the Porch Band of Creek Indians. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by the V-Team. Welcome all.
Hi.
Hello.
Josh, the state, the state Senate passed a lottery bill this week that if they'd have gone out and combed the streets of the worst third world country in the world, they could not have found someone who could have written a worse bill. It does absolutely nothing for the state of Alabama. It does very little for the people of Alabama, and it does a whole hell of a lot for the Porch Band of Creek Indians. How did we get here?
Well,
With some campaign checks, I think.
yeah, we're run by a bunch of money grubbers. Is how we got here. I mean, honestly, there's no way to kind of sugarcoat it. Either you don't understand what's in the bill, which is a problem because you're the people who should understand what's in the bill, or you understand what's in the bill and you don't care because these people are putting money into your campaign accounts. Either way, we've all lost here because it is a terrible bill. I mean, you look around, one of the states with the lowest revenue producing lotteries around the South is Tennessee, and it produces $400 some odd million a year. This one's going to produce about $160 million total for the state, of which about half of that is going to go into the trust fund, so we'll never actually be able to spend it on anything. That's after, of course, some money is spent out of state to administer the thing. Yeah. So we're going to end up with about $50-60 million that goes into the general fund that's going to pay for, I guess, somebody to redecorate their office. But that's it. I mean,
how much is it they've taken out of the general fund?
Yeah.
Or they've taken out of the rainy day fund?
Oh, the rainy day fund,
$185
$185 million.
Yeah.
So we're not even breaking even for how many years now?
Well, they estimated that we can't even get any revenue from the lottery for 2 to 3 years. Mm-hmm. So then it'll take 2 to 3 more years. Yeah. So you're talking 5 to 6 years before there's a dime in the lottery. Whereas Jim McClendon's bill, there'd have been billions.
Yeah.
Day one.
Millions of dimes in day one.
Millions and millions of dimes, and
Billions and
I don't know,
billions of dimes.
15,000 jobs.
Yeah. Well,
who wants jobs? Jeez.
And this bill actually harms the state in that it takes away some of the revenue that the state already gets from the dog tracks, and those people will lose their jobs.
Yeah.
So rather than creating jobs, the Porch Creek Indian bill causes a job loss. But Susan, it was so obvious that it was the Porch Creek absolutely wrote the bill, their attorneys pushed the bill, everything.
Because it has no think-through in it, for one thing. Okay, it has no commission, as Josh says, it has no administration. There's nothing here except for how do we better, and believe me, I want the Porch Creek to prosper, I do, but I want to see Alabama prosper as well. And you can look right down the names of the people that voted for this bill and the people that pushed this bill and see all the Porch Creek donations right there.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Albritton, Barfoot, Elliott, Livingston, Sessions, Ward, Gudger, Jones, Marsh, Price, Shelnut, Wagner, Watley, and Williams all need to be primaried, and they need a general election.
Well, and the interesting thing these are the 14 senators, 16 Republican senators took over $100,000 in just this election cycle over the course of several election cycles. The only two people that voted against it that took Porch Creek money, well, actually only one. Larry Stutz. Dr. Stutz voted against it.
I know,
because,
right?
Well, it didn't kill anybody, specifically women, and so he was.
And Jimmy Holly voted present. But I think that the couple of interesting things, Josh, I really want to get to is that there had been a negotiation on this bill with Bobby Singleton and Greg Albritton. And when we got to the floor of the Senate, Albritton broke his promise to
Stabbed him in the
Singleton.
back's what he did.
And he got up there and lied. I mean, this guy, what's his name?
Albritton.
Greg Albritton is a lying sack.
Yeah, I think the one thing that kind of struck me about that, well, first is that Bobby Singleton got mad, and you rarely see on the floor Bobby get mad.
He's
Okay, I mean he's really good at holding it in and being kind of passive aggressive, and he got angry and he started going after him with some facts of conversations that took place in private. And we all know if we're here covering this, so we know the kind of horse trading that goes on in the background to get some bills passed, especially the complicated ones. But he started laying out some things about what went down in private between him and Greg Albritton. Yeah. That was, Greg Albritton was pushing for this to happen and that to happen, and they were given concessions like, for example, putting the Porch Creek Indians into the state constitution to ensure that their federal charter here is going to be recognized forever, which is a question right now under the Trump administration. Yeah, and so they were going to put them in. That was one of the concessions that Singleton and those guys were making. And what kind of struck me is here you have Greg Albritton, who is essentially the representative of the Porch Creek Indians in this deal, instead of where he should be, and trying to ensure, listen, the Porch Creeks certainly have a right to representation around here, but at the same time, aren't you supposed to be kind of looking out for the whole of the state? Yeah, well, Dale Marsh, Senate President Pro Tem, sold the state out. He sold the state out. Beth, the Porch Creek make a lot of money. They put their kids through college. They give them good education, health care. Our lottery that the Porch Creek said we couldn't do that for our kids. They said we can't do this for our kids. They're stopping this, and yet Dale Marsh, Greg Albritton, Jabbo Wagner, who has never voted for a lottery bill in his life but took $50, $20, $7,500 from the Porch Creek. I don't think you can buy Jabbo that cheap. But
yeah, he's pretty expensive.
He's
been there a while.
Yeah.
But tell me why they're protecting the Porch Creek and not the children and people of Alabama.
Well, I can tell you why Porch Creek's protecting the Porch Creek kids, and I can even, to an extent, tell you why Albritton is protecting the Porch Creek kids, because that's down in his neck of the woods. It's his district. But Dale Marsh doesn't represent anybody in the Porch Creek Band of Indians. Jabbo Wagner, I believe, is my state senator up in Birmingham. He doesn't represent anybody. He should be representing what's best for my family and my kids, because we're the ones who elected him. And if we could get out, I'd be fine giving Porch Creek their own seat in the Senate and their own seat in the House if it means they'll quit buying all of our representatives and vote their own vote. I'd be fine with it, but our kids deserve something too.
Susan, go ahead.
I was going to say, Marsh, during the debate on this, actually said, this is not a good bill.
Yeah.
Come out and say it, because we're going to be obsolete in a few years. This is not a good bill for us.
It's paper only, which paper only might as well be the newspaper or Bakelite phone of the past. All right, we're going to leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. The only ones around here that aren't bought and paid for by the Porch Creek Indians.
There you go.
You've always dreamed of owning a home and investing in your community, but where do you start? Ask a local realtor about Alabama's new first-time homebuyer savings account. If you're looking to buy your first home or are re-entering the market after 10 years, contact your realtor to learn how to set up a tax-free savings account at any Alabama financial institution. Savings of up to $50,000 can be used as your down payment or towards closing costs. The first step on the road to homeownership. Let us help you get there.
Hey man, what are you doing today?
Playing the game. Thought I'd go out for a drive later maybe. Text some friends while I'm doing it. Scroll through social media. Kill a family 4 and a head on collision.
Cool, man.
Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
A lot can change in 5 years. Except those smile lines you treated with Bellafill. Because that's about how long Bellafill will keep them smooth and filled. 5 years. Now you can always look your best without all those injections, appointments, and costs. Bellafill is the only dermal filler that stimulates and maintains collagen growth long term. Now time is on your side.
Welcome back to The Beat, the voice of Alabama politics. Susan, I don't even know how you describe some of the craziness.
It's mind-boggling, isn't it?
All right, so Alabama is probably the Trumpiest state in the world and the country.
Probably the world. Yeah, you're right.
The Republican Party of Alabama is totally behind President Donald J. Trump, and they are vehemently against the Trump haters. I mean, they are so against him. Now, the Alabama Republican Party, not itself, but the lawmakers, public officials throughout the state, Republicans, take millions of dollars from the Porch Creek, somewhere around $4 million in the last couple of cycles, right? $4 million. Now, if you go look, the Porch Creek are just layering it on, Republicans in Alabama. But if you go look nationally, they support Nancy Pelosi. They've never supported a Republican Speaker of the House. They support Nancy Pelosi. They supported Barack Obama. They supported Hillary Clinton. They did not support Donald J. Trump. They support Cory Booker. They support the first lesbian
Kristen Sinema.
and
She's bisexual.
the first bisexual senator. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but how is it that Trump supporters that hate Trump haters are taking money from the people who support the Trump haters? That's the question.
One, they're not paying attention.
Right.
Because I can tell you that none of the senators that voted on the Porch Creek bill actually went and looked at Open Secrets to see where the Porch Creek were putting their money elsewhere. And it's like Beth said during the break, it has nothing to do with anything but what's good for the Porch Creek.
Still my point, Susan. Still my point.
I did. I took it right from you, didn't I? And because it's true, that's the only thing that makes sense here. They don't give a crap about Donald Trump. They don't give a crap about the nation. They don't give a crap about Alabama. They only care about
But the thing is, I don't care. I don't have a problem with Porch Creek advocating for Porch Creek. They should. I'm going to advocate for Beth Clayton all day long.
Right, I get that.
But the point is, our elected officials should have more integrity than this, and we have the ability to fix it.
Josh,
and they've been told, we told them they took
Josh,
this money.
if you are taking money that's from people who support your enemies, other than whore, what do you call that?
Well,
Prostitute?
an Alabama politician. Look, they know that this is taking place. They absolutely know this is taking place. They don't care because $100 from a guy who also gave $100 to Nancy Pelosi is still $100, and that's what they care about. Okay? Do you honestly look at what they just passed in this bill?
Yeah.
Do you believe that ethics and morals are somehow coming into play with these folks? I don't understand.
And that's a good point. That's absolutely a great point, Josh, because one of the things that's been bothering me is all of these senators we saw pass this bill this week. They took as little as like $2,500.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to sell out my state.
Yes.
What's a good lottery for my state and your state.
Yeah,
for
some of them got $65,000,
I know they did, but I'm saying
If you're going to buy me, I'm going to need a lot more than that.
exactly. Some of them were really cheap to buy.
The Republican Party in Alabama got a lot more from them in a bunch of various ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a bunch of various ways. They got a lot more from them. So that's where they are. They don't care about anything but the money. And if we doubted that, there's no reason why this would have passed unless that was the case.
But how in the world, in any kind of ethical world, do you stand up and degrade Nancy Pelosi, degrade Senator Sinema, and degrade Cory Booker, and then take money from the people who put them in there?
You know as well as I do, once they walk through that State House door, each one of them, it is like they walk through a black curtain. And everything behind them is gone, and they're in their own little universe, and to hell with everybody else.
Well, I would like to see Speaker Mac McCutcheon and Nancy Pelosi hold a joint press conference with the Porch Creek, since they both take money from them.
Well, and what's funny is they always, on campaign ads, you could be running as a Democrat for dog catcher, and they're going to have your face superimposed with Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama because you support the liberal agenda. But look who's lining up right next to Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Well, and everybody's so Trumpy down here. Donald Trump warned against unfair advantage by Native Americans granted by Democrats. That's what he said. Well, not in Alabama, baby. It's the Republicans who claim to be Trumpies that are granting unfair advantage to the Native Americans. I just want a level playing field.
Well,
Hell, I don't even want a level playing field. I like a playing field that wasn't skewed for one side.
Well, look, these are also the same people who have for years, most of them have for years been against any sort of lottery, any sort of gambling, and now they're lining up in support of it. One of the main guys pushing this thing, Dale Marsh, was for the exact opposite bill that honestly, his bill was what gave more gambling than what Jim McClendon's bill pushed this time.
I know.
But keep in mind, too, I think a big thing that factors in here is polling has been done that shows that a lottery is popular. And your average voter doesn't know the difference between the Marsh bill and the McClendon bill, and they don't care. The news alert's going to be Alabama passes lottery bill.
Am I going to get to play them scratch-offs?
And we won't make hardly a dime on it. I've got to switch subjects. We only got a minute and 50 seconds.
Okay.
I want to get to the fact that Susan, they couldn't get a Second Amendment bill out of the tourism committee, the paper permitless carry. The Alabama Republicans wouldn't support it.
I know. And to the point that they took it out of what it was supposed to go through Judy, wasn't it?
Judiciary
They took
Committee.
it to tourism, a gun bill.
Yeah.
In tourism. And they still, because they thought they had the favorable votes, they still couldn't get it out of that committee.
I mean,
Listen, I for one day I was kind of proud of what took place here, because look, really, when you have sheriffs lining up telling you this is going to make us less safe, we use this permit here to prevent some people from getting guns, and we also use it as a way to take guns off the streets and stop some crime. Well, who are you going to listen to here? The gun nuts or these
for Pete's
people?
sake, you stop by the sheriff's
the gun
department.
nuts.
It takes you 5 minutes to get a permit.
Yeah.
What's the big deal?
You don't even
$750 a
need
year.
it. You don't even need the permit. Most of the, if you can still carry the gun in the car, you just have to carry it in the trunk, or you can carry it anywhere around here. You just have to open carry it.
what you don't want to do is pull it out in a mall.
Yeah, exactly.
In Hoover.
Well, you don't want to have it if you're black anywhere. Okay? Let's just be honest. All right?
That's the truth about it.
I'm now, I used to always carry and I have a concealed carry permit. I really have stopped carrying mine because I'm afraid I'll pull it out someday and get shot in the back.
Mine
Seen
lives on
evidence
my
of that.
nightstand,
Yeah.
which is where I'm going to need it. If I need to shoot somebody, it's going to be because they've come in my bedroom.
Well,
That's mine's in my nightstand. Yep.
I have
these lethal weapons.
I have enough to worry about my bedroom. I sleep with Susan. All right, we're going to leave it right there. You're watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back with more news and opinion.
What a great opportunity for your success. Adding 500,000 highly skilled employees to our workforce by 2025 is how we stay ahead in Alabama. Our economy is stronger than it's been in years, and a skilled workforce is more important than ever. Things move fast, so choose your path. Your success is waiting, plus a great future for Alabama. Success Plus. Go for it.
The Energy Institute of Alabama promotes reliable, affordable, and clean energy to help grow our economy, create high-paying jobs, and build public support for Alabama's energy industry. The Energy Institute of Alabama is the best source of energy industry information and how it affects households across the state, from convenient energy production to alternative fuels to solar power and beyond.
What are you doing today, babe?
I thought I'd head down to the lake with the guys, do a little fishing. Of course, none of us will be wearing our seatbelts. I'll lose control of the truck, wrap it around a tree, and kill us all.
Okay.
Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. Surprisingly, Beth, it looks as if a bill for medical marijuana to be grown and dispensed in Alabama will actually has a better than 50-50 chance of passing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This-
You would think this.
This is good. I think it's going to be good because the thing is, I mean, one, this is a revenue generator and it is a voluntary revenue generator for the state. But also think about how much money in our court system and in our justice system goes to prosecuting somebody who got caught with a little bit of weed. And how many people are sitting in Alabama prisons right now for 3 strikes on a dime bag. And it's a waste of our resources and a waste of our money. I think this would be great because anybody who knows what to say to a doctor can get a prescription for this stuff.
Well, and this doesn't do anything about the marijuana laws on the books.
Right, it would still make it illegal, but it would make it where if you can get a prescription for it, now you cannot get cited for it.
Yeah, exactly. Like for me with my cataracts.
Right,
that
like
just
glaucoma.
it's just developed. I don't.
Well,
It also treats hair loss.
You know, and one of the things
Double prescription.
One of the things that I've thought, Susan, and I want to I know it's funny, but I want to kind of stay a little serious, is, you know, we have studies that show this works. We have studies that people say, well, that's not true. But if you can help someone who's actually suffering, is that not a good thing?
I mean, back before all this real big hubbub about marijuana started, 20-something years ago with the war on drugs, I had a friend who had a grandfather that had terminal cancer, and they actually bought the marijuana from the police department out of what they'd confiscated to treat medical, and it was kind of
Well,
just...
that sounds like quite the program there, I gotta tell you.
But it was a common...
I think those programs have been going on for years.
Yeah, it was, what I'm saying, then it was a common practice
Yeah.
because you knew this person was terminal, you knew this wasn't a recreational thing,
Right.
you know, and then the war on drugs came and then it all got really crazy.
Well, I
mean,
can
this
assure
just
you that
makes
if I'm ever
sense.
terminal, I want to recreate as much as
Exactly.
possible.
No
Think
doubt.
about too, all these people who pull a muscle or do something, they just need some mild pain relief, and doctors write prescriptions for Norco like it's going out of style. What could this do for the opioid epidemic?
Yeah, it'll kill you. You've already seen those studies in places like Colorado where they have passed these laws and how much it has affected the opioid crisis in those places. And yeah, you're right. Look, there are all kinds of studies and all kinds of people who've been doing this for years around that have treated seizures in young kids and you know, and all sorts of pain management issues where you don't come away with the addictions that are killing so many people right now.
Exactly.
Well, and I think that's the point. We want to offer people some alternative medication. Listen, this is a natural product. Sometimes it's better to put a natural product in your body than a synthetic opioid.
It almost always is.
Yeah.
Almost always.
You sit and watch somebody's face that's had it dilaudid and see,
Hey, look, anything you cook up from underneath your sink out of cleaning products probably weeds a little bit better.
What's it Cat Williams says about it? I don't know the recipe, but you got
I want to move on real quickly through 2 next subjects, and this is right up your alley, Josh. The state of Alabama, the legislature, again, Dale Marsh, the upstanding senator who wants to support the Porch Creek, he wants more money, more public money for charter schools.
Yeah, we've only wasted $1 billion nationally on charter schools, as I believe a study came out a few weeks ago said. But, you know, so this is perfect Alabama politics. For years and years and years, you underfund and talk bad about teachers and try to cut pay and try to do all these things. And then on the backside of it, you know what? These schools, these public schools, what are we even doing here? Let's give it to private businesses who then waste the money and go out of business left and right and leave people high and dry. And then they're all, well, it's going to create competition, but it never does. These are the things that dumb people do, okay? This is the things that greedy people do.
The product of Alabama public schools
Exactly.
are creating charter schools.
Yeah, I mean, this is what happens when people who get in power are trying to get some money, this big pool of money that's going to education. They've had their eye on it for years and years and years and trying to figure out a way to steer it into their own pockets like Bob Riley has. And so this is what they're doing.
Yeah, this is more about Wall Street than it is about Main Street, Alabama. I mean, this is not about educating children. This is about making money.
And I remember when they passed the charter school bill, they said, you're going to have the local, your local school board can vote on it and decide if you want to have it. So local control. But haven't they overridden every single decision to shut out a charter school?
They've overridden the decisions from the local school boards. They've overridden the decisions from the National Charter School Authorizers that we were paying $100,000 a year to approve applications for. It's just a money grab out of this thing. It's all it is and all it's ever going to be. There is a way to put good charter schools in place here and have them complement the public education system that are there. There's ways to do it that have been done all around the country, but we're not going to do it. It's too much time and effort and money to do
that's
so.
Right. Well, I want to switch subjects, something that you two will know a lot more about than I do, and that is Tabitha Eisner and Vivian Davis Figures. They are both vying to unseat Nancy Worley, Beth, the Democratic Party.
We're being real dumb with this because I think that Nancy's going to be on the yellow ballot, and so we have to consolidate every single vote we have. So if we're going to run two different candidates against Nancy Worley, I mean, ask Ralph Nader how that works out. And you've got Will Boyd who's throwing his name in the hat, and I don't know why, but I mean, we've got to consolidate what we're doing here, and we've got to have one unified ticket to run against Nancy and Joe Reed if we plan to beat them, because that's the only way to do it.
I don't disagree with that. I think that they need to kind of figure out exactly which way they want to go with this here and have one of them be at the top of this. And that's fine. I don't really care which way they go. I think there are good qualities for both Tabitha Eisner and Vivian Figures. And I just, whichever way they want to pick, I think you need to give yourself the best shot to move past this nightmare that we're currently involved in,
right.
and to get something done.
Here's an idea I didn't think about earlier. What about Vivian as chair and Tabitha Eisner as executive director? Ooh. That would be a power team because they would be able to work together and do some really great stuff.
Well, I think they both have positive qualities. You know what the most positive quality is?
They're not Nancy.
Exactly.
Well, there you go.
They can both stand up off the toilet by themselves.
Right. Yeah. Well, and literally and figuratively, the Democratic Party's been in the crapper since, before 2010. Yeah. And it is worse now than it's ever been, not better.
And Vivian Figures, I've watched her for years, is a fantastic leader.
Yeah.
She really is.
Both of these ladies are really good and would inspire a lot of confidence, a lot more confidence than anyone currently has in the Democratic Party here. I just think that they've got to figure out something and get some momentum going here and start spending some money and get people involved in races that can win them.
Well, listen, there has been 3 or 4 major issues that have come up this legislative session that if there was a strong Democratic Party, they could start turning people against some of these corrupt Republicans. But we're going to have to leave it right there. You've been watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.